Hello, Devonport Camera Club. And it's hello from a very cold and snowy England, which makes me wish, as I always do, that I was with you again. You've done it again. You've given me a wonderful selection of pictures. And it's a great pleasure for me and a privilege to look at them. And I don't in any way judge pictures or photographs. I just like to comment and hopefully encourage and enthuse you about our wonderful art that we all enjoy so very much. So I hope you're having a fabulous evening, everybody. And let's make a start. Let's get on with the pictures. Now, the first one, Autumn JPEG, taken of this beautiful Japanese house. And the photographer has photographed this very, very well, very precisely. And it's totally square on to the camera. And what I particularly like is the little top left-hand point of the roof is just contained beautifully in the picture. Japan is a wonderful country, and their sort of art and their style is incredible. And I think the photographer has done justice to this. And what I particularly like, of course, is the inclusion of these autumn leaves across the top of the picture. I say autumn, they might not be, but just that branch across the top lifts the whole thing and makes it not just a picture of a building, but a pictorial picture. So well done for the first one. We move to the second one. I mean, look at this. This is just great. You see lots of pictures of kingfishers with little fishes out of their beaks. This is a superb piece of work. What I particularly like, the focus is absolutely critical on the eye of the kingfisher. Wonderful. The color harmony of the whole photograph is just great. And the out of focosity of the background just makes the birds stand out. A beautiful piece of work. There are some superb natural history photographs here tonight. So let's move on now to the next picture, which I believe to be the desirable residence known as Bag End, Bilbo Baggins' house, which I think is in New Zealand. And this is a very adequate photograph of it. Again, everything is, the photographer has cropped and I think thought about it just to keep that little fence along the bottom. And it's just right. Nice calm color harmony, nice and bright, punchy little picture. Yeah, this is very appealing, isn't it? I mean, it really is. And it's, I guess it was taken at a zoo or something like that, but it's not always easy in places like this to get a really good picture like you've done here. And I think, the trick is possibly to use like a short telephoto lens, which I suspect you've used here, and to sort of crop everything else out. So you've just got in really close, and I think it works very well. And the two little faces, the mother and the little sort of baby monkey, if that's what they are. I know monkeys of a type. And the arm round the little one just shows the care and the love. And I think it's very, very well done. And not an easy thing to do, this style of photography. Moving on to what, of course, we always find irresistible as photographers, reflections. And the key to a good reflection, of course, is having stillness in the water. And here we've got this, and I think it works very well. The image is sort of like cut in half. The reflections equal the buildings above, and it's beautifully done. What I think lifts it and makes it the fact I suspect it's taken sort of early in the evening, so all the little lights are on, which just gives it that little bit of sparkle. The next picture, I've got one word commentary for this. Ah! If there's one thing I can't take, it's spiders. Arachnophobia, I've got it, and I've got it big time. And I suspect that obviously this is a spider, and the one spider that terrifies me is the huntsman. I don't know if this is a huntsman, but it's terrifying. When I stayed in Tasmania years ago, two things happened. One morning, I was woken up by my family and they said, "Dad, get up, get out." I said, "Sorry, what's happening?" It always takes me a long time to come to in the morning. They said, "Dad, don't talk, don't argue, just get out of bed and go out of the house." We were staying in a small sort of wooden chalet, and I sort of said, "What's going on?" So I got up and went out, and what actually happened was that on the wall, about 3 feet above where I was sleeping, was like a big grey huntsman. And because I didn't know this, and because had I known it, I think I'd have probably passed out. But my brother-in-law, he successfully removed it with a fishing net. So that was that. And the other thing in Tasmania, we were invited to dinner with some friends, which was lovely. And it was a beautiful big sort of kitchen diner. And I was sitting opposite me was like a big refrigerator. And as I sat there, somebody said to me, "Richard, are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, yes." They said, "Well, you've gone all sort of like pale and grey," because what had happened was going up the wall of this refrigerator, going up the side, was a great big huntsman about twice the size of my hand. Anyhow, sorry, I'm digressing, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me, guys. But very, very well photographed, and to me, totally terrifying, but a superb piece of work. Well, I mean, I've got a thing about robins. Our robins, of course, have got little red breasts. This robin has got a little pink breast, a forest pink robin. Absolutely superb. I mean, look at it. The quality of the image, the lighting, and again, the focusing on the eye, always so crucial. But the pink just jumps out at you. And it's just magnificent. Now, as photographers, well, I think it's ideas, isn't it? If we can come up with some good ideas, that's great. And the photographer here, whether it's a he or a she, doesn't matter, has had a great idea of this little child who's fond of his little cars. And rather than just taking, a normal sort of snapshot like perhaps most people would take of the child sitting down and sort of playing with the cars, moving them about, they've got in close like this. And it's a great little picture. And again, the eye of the child is absolutely pin sharp. I remember I heard at Newbury Camera Club a visiting lecturer, and he said once, and I always remember what he said. He said, if your pictures aren't good enough, you're not close enough. And there is some truth in that. Going back to the last picture, you're probably a bit too close for me, but anyhow. But there's a lot of truth in that, I believe. And this is an excellent idea. It's been very, very well done. I love it. It's great. Yes. First of all, I thought, this this charming lady is making a comment about judges. But no, it's, "Hi, Dad." So I'm not quite sure what her relationship with her dad is, but it's a quirky picture and it made me smile. And I think that's great. And "Hi, Dad." It's interesting because you need to look at it a little bit. First of all, I thought it was very, very dark and black. But after you look at it a little bit, you see the sort of blue of I think it's a sort of like a hat. beanie hat she's wearing. And it's interesting because the hand is out of focus and the eyes are in focus. And that, I think it works. It would have been interesting to try another shot with the hand sharp and the eyes out of focus. But it's a great idea and I like it. I think it works very well. It's sort of making his point would be a good title for that one. Sorry about that. But yeah, nice picture. It's quirky, makes you smile, and it's a strong image. This is magnificent. I mean, this bird just flying across is beautifully. The quality, just wonderful. A superb bit of photography. I mean, it really is. If I was wearing a hat, I'd take it off to you. Again, the eye of the bird just. Again, it's so sharp, and the wings, the feathers, and I've sort of like pulled it up and looked at it, and I think the bird has just taken off because there's water droplets coming off its little feet at the back, and they're crystal sharp too. So it's a superb piece of work, and of course the color harmony just makes this, the grayness, and if you look at the eye is just yellow, wonderful. Julietta's tarn. It makes me think of Tasmania, how much I love it. Lakes and tarns like this are just beautiful to photograph. And you've been at this tarn on a lovely sunny morning, and I think you've done it justice. You've taken a very nice landscape picture. Not always easy to do landscape photography, but again, the structure of the picture I think is great. The colours are lovely, and the clouds, of course, are magnificent. Oh, this is just oozes atmosphere, doesn't it? It's beautiful. It reminded me of almost like a troupe of ballet dancers on stage, with the central dancers in the middle, and the others sort of looking up and kneeling and looking up towards the main performers. This is me. I haven't had any wine at all, so I don't think that. Beautiful picture. And Lake Bonnie sunset. And I think it's probably just sort of possibly after the sunset, you get this kind of afterglow, and it's beautiful. The silhouettes are beautiful, and that one backlit cloud. Fabulous image. I hope I'm not talking too long about these pictures, but it's because I love them so much. But I don't want to keep you from your meal. I'm not sure if you've had your meal, but I hope in passing you're having the most wonderful evening. I'm sure you are. Mist and me just go together, and I love pictures with mist, fog, and atmosphere. And this picture just oozes atmosphere and mist in the early morning. I just love the top of this picture, the top half, just beautiful. The boats just reflecting down, and then you've got the little tree line, and then you've got this thick layer of foggy mist, and then you've got another sort of line of trees just popping through at the top. Absolutely beautiful, a lovely picture. When I was at Newbury Camera Club, which I had the privilege and the pleasure to be chairman of for some time, and it was great. Camera clubs are wonderful, and we had a guy there, and he was a school teacher, and his name was Jim, and his sort of speciality was, he was always saying, well, I think I would possibly sort of like trim off a little bit on the bottom of this picture, so hence his nickname was Jim the Trim. And I think Jim the Trim might have suggested something like with taking maybe a little bit off the bottom of the picture, but that's not in any way being negative about the picture. I'm just being constructive, and I think it's beautiful. And I love the mood that you've given us. Lovely piece of work. Niagara Falls. Wow. You can almost sort of hear the thunder of the water. And this is unusual because normally you see the picture with the Maid of the Mist, the boat going round on the bottom. But here we haven't got that. We've got a stormy day. This is what I feel. But the dark clouds have just accentuated that great plume of spray rising up. So very unusual picture of Niagara Falls. Fabulous. And a place I'd love to go to. And I'm sure you must have had a great time there. Oh, this is just right up my street. Love the sort of places like this to photograph. To me, I've got a thing about old cars and wrecks and ruins and buildings. I love to sort of poke around in them and do photography. So this appeals to me very much. Beautiful. And the sort of the limited sort of color range, the browns, whites and the blues. Fabulous picture. I think it works really, really well. And if ever I come to Tasmania, please, could you take me there to this spot? It's great. I'm sure there are loads and loads of pictures to be had in this area. And I think you've done very well. I like the way you've got the car on the left and it sort of points through to the old building. It's fabulous. And the lighting's great. And the sky, the depth of the sky, I'm not sure if you've polarized it, but the darkening of the top of the sky, it's beautiful. It's a fabulous picture. One, just absolutely, as I said, right up my street. I'd love to go there. Oh, all frost. See, you'll give me all the images that I really like. And in the winter, I often go out and try and capture sort of hoar frost on the trees. And I've taken quite a few, but never anything like this. Absolutely magnificent. Beautiful. Love the structure of the picture with the road going straight up from the middle, and the sort of the brownness of the earth just makes the white sparkle really sparkle. Oh, it makes me feel quite chilly looking at it. Absolutely great. Here he comes out of the fog. And what a character. I mean, what a character. Well, it's great. I mean, it's sort of photographer's dream character. I mean, there's so much we could say. I mean, love his hat and his beard and his hair and wonderful. And all his piercings. He's got all these things through his nose. He's got spikes through his nose at the bottom, at the top, and a sort of ring through the top of his nose. I mean, if he ever walked by a magnet, he'd be in big trouble. I always wonder what guys like this, what happens when they get a cold? It must be awful. But joking apart, it's a beautiful portrait, very, very strong. And it was taken, as we see, on an Olympus digital camera. But the colors of this great. They're sort of like it's almost sepia, isn't it? Which makes the black of his hat and coat and the beard stand out. And that old wrinkled face. Gosh, I think he could tell a few stories. What a character. Beautiful, very striking portrait. Yeah, this is almost could be like a book jacket for a film or a kind of, not exactly a horror film, but she's there and it's as if a ghostly face, her face is sort of floating in space there. So we kind of know, it says outward reflection. We know it's an outward reflection, but to me, it's a little bit more than that. It's a very sort of deep picture, I think, with a lot of meaning. And it's added to by the beautiful backlighting and rim lighting. Very unusual, very, not you use the word creative, but it's, someone's been really thinking about this. And I think they've done a good job. And the monochrome, I think, just is perfect for this. I know where this is. This is Evandale. Having said that, I'm probably wrong, but I think this is Evandale where they have the penny farthing races. And this is great, isn't it? They're all clapping. Look at this guy. I mean, I'm not quite sure of his age, but I mean, he must be nearly as old as me. It's a great character, great face, and they're all clapping, and it captures the atmosphere, doesn't it, of the event. And again, it's most beautifully composed, and it's just tight in the frame. You've used the whole frame, and I think it's a great, it's a great capture. Be a beautiful piece of news photography for the press or something. Tells a story of that event wonderfully. And now we move on to Seafood Lunch. And again, another tremendous natural history piece of work with this bird just removing, I think, a little sort of crab for his lunch. And the lighting, exquisite lighting. The sort of softness of the blues and the colour of the bird just stand out beautifully. Fine piece of work again. She caught my eye, and I can see why. What a charming portrait. Possibly taken in Japan, I'm not sure. Might have been the same trip where you took their house earlier. I'm probably completely wrong, but it's a lovely portrait. And there's several things that make it really work for me. The first thing I think is just that tilt of the head. That just makes it. It really does. If her head was upright, it would have been lovely, but it's just that tilt just gives it that appeal somehow, that charming appeal. And of course, that you've got the colour harmony of the whole picture, the green dress, the background, and that all harmonises beautifully. And what shows up most beautifully are her beautiful white and brown eyes. Lovely portrait, and I think it's very well done, but just that tilt of the head just gives it that appeal. Sunset at Kelly Basin. I wish I'd been at Kelly Basin. It's beautiful, it's shot, it's great. The rays of light coming through, to me, are the strength of this picture. And the jetty just going out at the front, beautiful. And the colours in the water, wonderful. And you can almost feel you're there. And as a photographer, how exciting it would be seeing this in our viewfinder. Beautiful piece of work. Well, Winter Wonderland. I almost wish I could live in this little house. It looks great. I like the way you position it in the frame with the out of focus sort of snow around, snowy boughs and branches and things around, which are sort of dull in the foreground, but you've got the light just on the little house and the trees in the background. It's a lovely sort of, it makes you feel Christmassy, doesn't it? And it makes a good Christmas card. Well, I think we've sadly come to the last image. And what a strong one to finish with. How well the photographer has sort of separated. And you see lots of pictures of lines of sort of, I'm not sure if this is a beach house or exactly what it is quite, but they've cropped down onto just a few. And by using this separation technique, making it all monochrome, apart letting the yellow come through, I think it works extremely well. And it's a very strong image to conclude with. And the title is Yellow. So, yeah, fabulous picture. I really, really like it. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, it's always incredibly difficult with a set of images like you've given me to try and pick one as the sort of top one. And this year I've agonized over this, and I've thought and thought and thought and thought. And the sort of the top contenders that came to my mind were this one, which I think is very, very strong. I like the structure of the picture and the way the yellow jumps out, the way you've created that. I like the hoarfrost. I thought that was just exquisite lighting. And the other picture I liked was taken in the ruins of the car and the building in the background. That appealed to me. But there was one other which appealed to me, and I just, as I say, I've been thinking and thinking and thinking about this, and I've come to the conclusion in the end that my top picture this year would be that fabulous photograph of that dear little robin with the pink breast, which I think is just absolutely exquisite. So to the photographer, the author of that picture, I do congratulate you. What a wonderful. And all the others, and really all of you, really. I just think you're doing wonderful work. Well, it's not work, it's a joy, isn't it? And I conclude, as I always conclude, by saying, I hope you're having a wonderful evening. I do hope I haven't talked too much. And I wish you, in conclusion, a very happy and wonderful Christmas. Love to you all, and I'll speak to you next year.